Alright, let's get this started. Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial video. Build we're doing this week is, we put out two in-game builds last week, so we'll switch it up a little bit. We wanted to go ahead and do something that really hasn't been discussed a lot, or maybe there's some people out there that just haven't showcased the build yet. I'm pretty sure there's people that run a variation of this build, but it is a pet cold build. And utilizes, of course, our pets in combination with some cold spills to provide, well, the damage is really good. CC potential is very good. I won't say it's, as I said with the Hell 2 set and other things like that, Drum and Jade set are in a league of their own. But this does offer some different types of utility, crowd control, locking down rift bosses, locking down lead bosses with cold damage spells and freezing. And it works out quite good. I got it functioning on T6 at a pretty good rate. I'm still looking for some specific things to min-max it and give it the total seal of approval. Unfortunately, since Zunimasa is bugging out with the Fetish Sycophant's passive, I don't think the build can really be, how do you say, pushed to its maximum potential until it gets patched over. But I still wanted to show off the build because I've been enjoying it for the week and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So with that being said, just so we're clear, we're not saying that this is the best build for Witch Doctor in-game period. We're not saying it's better than Jerome Tallman's or Jade set. Those are the top 3 builds for Witch Doctor right now. Those are the top 3 sets, quote unquote. So I'm not saying that you're going to be doing circles around everybody else. This is just to offer a little bit of variety or showcase a different spec for some people out there that maybe don't necessarily want to go those builds, or they might actually have this gear laying around and they're waiting to get their final items to complete those builds, or just in general another build to show you versatility of the Witch Doctor and something else that you can basically try. So after I've said all that, now we can go ahead and discuss about the build. Okay. So pretty much cold pet build. We're using a combination of pets and cold spells that do very good damage. To start off with, of course, we have the Mask of Drum, increases pet damage. This one has 97% damage, pretty much straightforward, to help out the pet aspect of this build. Same thing with Tasker and Theos, increases the attack speed of the pets by 42%, can go up to 50%. Makes the pets attack faster, something also we would want definitely in this build. Those power on the shoulder, we have, of course, increased gargantuan damage because that's going to be our major AoE and it's going to be cold property, so it works out pretty nice. And then also with the bracers, which basically have cold damage and vitality crit % chance. And of course we're using the Roll Ringer Grandeur, which makes it so that we reduces the numbers of items needed to set bonuses, so we get that 3-piece set bonus since we already have 2 pieces of the gear already. Now for the necklace, I'm still looking for a cold critical % chance and critical damage necklace, but I'm still debating whether or not I'll use it because Spirit Barrage scales really well with attack speed. So we have the typical int, trifecta, critical % chance, critical damage, and attack speed. Also on the chest for the Zunimasa, I found this the other day. I was pretty happy and I was able to put it as gargantuan damage. So int, vitality, gargantuan damage. Now if you'd like to make the fetishes do more, of course you can go ahead and use that. Or if you'd like to Spirit Barrage, well, Spirit Barrage can't roll in chest, but if you wanted fetish army, that'd be perfectly fine. The same thing like for the Ogdo's power shoulders. We have a cold Saj, of course. We got pretty lucky. It had cold on it, rolled pretty good stats, and then we rerolled it for critical % chance, and we got max elite damage on it, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Old school level 60 Witching Hour, or you can use a level 71, or you can use the Blackthorn's pants with the Blackthorn belt. Anything that's fine, but the reason why I like Witching Hour so much, it has int, it has attack speed, and critical damage, all which is good for Spirit Barrage, all which is good for pets. Fantastic. We got the Roll Ringer Grandeur, critical % chance and attack speed, and vitality. Hopefully one day I can get one that's trifecta, but I'm still looking for one. Azir Wrath, was pretty happy about this. It didn't roll intelligence. It rolled good cold damage, it rolled good base damage, and then had a socket, so all I had to do was reroll, I think, a weird stat, or I think it was area damage to int, so that ended up working pretty well for myself. And then also with the Zunimasa Trail, I'm looking for another pair of Zuni Monster Trail so I can basically have Int Vitality and then reroll into Spirit Barrage damage. And then of course on the Zuni Monster String of Skulls, I like to go ahead and put Spirit Barrage damage. So what I'm hoping to actually accomplish is have the shoulders and the chest with the Gargantuan, to have my offhand and my shoes, and also a Jerome's helmet with increased Spirit Barrage damage. Now you can make the choice if you want more Garg damage or you want more Fetish Army damage. That's up to you. But I'm trying to strike a balance in between having the Gargantuan do more damage and also the Spirit Barrage do more damage. So hopefully when I get towards making the in-game guide for this and I get all the specific items I'm looking for, I can come back and just basically see how all that damage accumulates together. Alright, so we went over the gear. 1.5 million cheat DPS, 6.7 million toughness. We're going to be kind of threading the needle here. Now if you the reason why we're able to run such low toughness because we have Spirit Vessel and we got a lot of CC, so we're banking on that. But if you ever wanted to just use the Blackthorn Pants in combination with the belt, it brings me up to about 9 mil toughness, makes us have 554k HP, additional less damage from elites. That's pretty nice, and 10% elite versus 10% increased damage versus elites, but we do lose a little bit of attack speed. But I think I'm on my P's and Q's today. I drank my coffee, so I think I should be able to dodge damage that comes to me instead of just face tanking it. So that's another option you can do, or if you just in general, if you like to go ahead and run more toughness, that's fine as well. In Paragon points, I put int. I just got just enough movement speed just so I can, you know what, let me take a look at that. I got 10%. Yeah, just enough movement speed just so we can there we go. Just enough movement speed just so we get maxed, or you can just do, I say 20% or higher is fine. So let me go back in. I got 10%. Let me go ahead and put 15%. Perfect. And then the rest will be into intelligence. We'll accept. So we got intelligence, just enough movement speed, so we hit 20% or higher. Offensive tree, we want attack speed, helps out our Spirit Barrage. And when we're casting the haunts, when we trigger that Rush of Essence, critical percent chance is very important first, and then we're putting all our extra points into critical damage afterwards. We have armor, all resistance maxed out, putting the rest of the points into life percent, and of course resource cost reduction and life on hit are very important, putting the last ones into area damage, or if you want, you can, instead of area damage, you can put it into gold fine. Finally, with the skills, Haunt Resentful Spirits. What this does, it releases 2 spirits with every cast. Fantastic. That's exactly what we want. We have Spirit Barrage, Well of Souls. An additional 3 spirits attack each other enemies and deal 65% weapon damage as cold. So, something else that's very good. And plus a cool effect is that the additional spirits have a chance to freeze and chill and all that fantastic stuff. Jaunt with Spirit Walk, so we can stay in the Spirit Realm a little bit longer. Combos well with the Spirit Vessel. Fetish Army, Legion of Daggers. Yes, I know they're physical, but they still do good damage because of the Tasker and Theo and because of the Jerome Helmet. And it provides us a lot of tankiness because they're going to take a lot of the mob for us and keep the mobs off of us. Gargantuan on Humongoid makes his attacks cleave 130% over weapon damage as cold. Fantastic, because we're building a cold build. And of course piranhas with frozen. Chills the effects inside of the piranhas, makes them take 15% more damage, and they take 400% weapon damage as cold over 8 seconds. Pierce the Veil for extra damage, Rush of Essence for the mana cost on the Spirit Barrage and the Haunt, Spirit Vessel for a little bit more survivability. Now in the future, when they do fix the Zunimasa pieces to work with that Sycophant's passive, then I will be running that, because that would actually top off the build really well. But unfortunately, since it's glitched right now, we're not going to use it. Midnight Feast, increase the damage of Gargantuan, and also increase the damage of Zombie Dog. Now if you want to run Tall Man's Finger with this in place of size and run all the dog passives, that actually works very well. The only thing I would recommend, you still want to keep Rush of Essence and Spirit Vessel, so you would switch it out for Zombie Dog Handler in case you wanted to use Tall Man's Finger with this build. So we got all the stats, we went over the Paragon, we went over the skills, and the biggest thing that pulls it all together is of course Azure Wrath. Cold damage deals 20%, or cold damage spells or whatever does 20% more damage. 24.5% chance to freeze on hit. I wonder how much that can grow up to 25, so we got real lucky on that. Undead enemies within 24 yards take 37% weapon damage as holy per second and sometimes get knocked back. We're not really worried about that, but it gives us cold elemental damage, and it also makes it so that when I do our attacks, it has a chance for freeze. Alright, so let's go ahead and summon our fetishes and our Gargantuan. We're going to run through the bounties on Torment level 6 and Act 3. The build is pretty much straightforward. You use your haunt to trigger the Rush of Essence, and every time you cast it, you get mana back. And the way Rush of Essence works is that every time you cast, you get 100 mana back over the course of 10 seconds, which basically equates to, let me make sure I'm saying this correctly. Yes, 10 mana or 100 mana over 10 seconds, which is 10 mana per second. So if we go up to 5 monsters and we cast 5 haunts, that means we're going to get back 500 mana over 10 seconds roughly. And that I usually like to cast haunt beforehand because it does good damage, it's cold, and then after that I can just simply Spirit Barrage as much as I want and stay out of this harm's way and let my pets basically do their damage, and I can just take out anything I need to. My mana, as you see, can stay upwards because it's triggering that Rush of Essence, and attack speed helps in that a lot. So let's lead to our first area. And then of course we're using piranhas with cold as well too to add additional CC. So basically we can freeze our targets, cast Spirit Barrage, and there's really not much they can do about it. Some elites are going to cause you problems, ones that teleport and ones that do mortar, or some that do thunderstorm. But that's why we have Spirit Barrage to keep us back alive. And if we actually are on point and we're lucky enough, we usually, like for this elite right here, like I'll cast Haunt on everything. Now it is reflect damage, but the nice thing about it is that when you start casting Spirit Barrage, it actually, as you see, it just starts to freeze some of the monsters. It has knockback, so we'll have to be careful regards to that. Recast the piranhas. And we have to be conscious because they have reflect damage and we can hurt ourselves. So our pets are doing their damage. Between the frozen on the piranhas and everything like that, the Spirit Barrage and the Azure Wrath, as you see, the mob really can't do anything. Now sometimes you got some mobs that come after you like that, but for the most part, we're able to handle everything pretty much okay. And I think he's almost out of here. And if you're lucky, sometimes, like I said, you can just pretty much insta-lock or freeze down the target. Really can't do much for you, but like I said, Reflect, Mortar, Thunderstorm causes a lot of problems, or if the mob can teleport. But I mean, to be fair, what builds don't have problems with that? Our Gargantuan does around about, well, if I get it on the offhand, it probably would be consistent 15 million damage a crit, but for right now, oh no, he's hitting for 12 to 15 mil, so that's not too bad. And it is AoE damage, so enemies around him will take that damage. The extra spirit effects that go onto monsters can freeze, and we clean that one up pretty fast, and we'll head on to the next area. Alright, on to the next area. And then sometimes what I like to do is just cast Haunt on everything because it has a chance to freeze. And let's see if we can get this goblin here, or our pets take care of that. I think we'll be okay. And as you can see, I'm so far away, but Spirit Barrage does have a really good range, so you can keep yourself in safe distance. And it's good at burning down elites and mobs and what have you not. And then also, like, if you're like on a Rift Guardian or elites and you're freezing them, they can't really do any action, so it locks down everything pretty well. So I can cast Haunt on everything on the screen, sit back, do my Spirit Barrage from a range, and here we got another elite. So I'll make sure I tag everything with Haunt. This builds up our Rush of Essence stack, so when we actually start using Rush of Essence, start using Spirit Barrage, we basically won't run out of mana ever. So there's the elite. Just staying back from a safe distance. He's getting locked down with being frozen. He really can't do much chill effect. Oh, except he can use his pulsating. So we did take a little loss on that, but that's okay because by the time we hopefully get to a next elite, that will be off cooldown. But if you'd like to run more tankier, you can. You do lose a little bit, a tiny bit of DPS and attack speed for the barrage, but that's your choice. But I figure, well, if we're running Spirit Vessel, then you know what? I don't really need to worry too much about toughness because as long as I spirit walk at the right times and just staying far back enough, I really shouldn't have any problems. Okay, appears that we have to have assistance on Captain Hale. And looks like we lost a couple fetishes, so I'll resummon. And our fetishes do stay out permanently. They're hitting for about 8 to 10 mil, which is more than enough that we need them to do. And we got Haunt on everything. And for the most part, we don't have to really worry about too much. Spirit Barrage is good at killing things, and plus in combination with our pets. And then when the extra spirits go out, and between the piranhas with the cold, the extra spirits that hit extra monsters, anything that comes in the vicinity is either going to get chilled or frozen. And it's really not much they can do about it. Pets are doing their damage. We even got the Enchantress with the attack speed increase in her. She got charmed so she can CC anything that comes to her, come to us or tries to do damage to us. So it's a really safe build, especially inside of a team play or inside of a party. You can just sit back and relax. Your job is to just basically cast the frozen piranhas, use Spirit Barrage, lock down the Rift Bossers and the elites, and just stand back and just, you know, do your damage. Let's go ahead and go on to the next area. Or was that it? No, we have to talk to the captain. There we go. Now we're going to head over to Stone Fort. Okay, all the monsters out here. We'll cast Haunt on everything, and then we'll just sit back and just Spirit Barrage everything down. And everything dies pretty quickly. And we have no problem keeping our mana up, because like I said before, when you cast Haunt, it only costs 50 mana, but it returns you back 100 mana over the course of 10 seconds. So if you're ever having problems casting anytime with Spirit Barrage, try casting a couple Haunts first to get that mana going, and then you can just Spirit Barrage everything down until it dies. There we go. Now I'm looking forward to when they actually fetch the Fetish Sycophant's build, or the passive conflicting with Zuni, because then I'll run more toughness, and then what I will do is run the passive, and then instead of Spirit Vessel, so now I will be able to have 8 permanent fetishes out plus the additional 7, or actually, well, we're debating. A lot of people were talking about how they intended it, because we really don't know. We don't know if Blizzard wanted us to have 15 as the max, 8 permanent from the skill, from using Legion daggers, then getting 7 more from the passive, so you have a total of 15. Currently, right now with the bug, what happens is if you run Fetish Sycophants with Zunimasa, and let's just say we use the Fetish Army Legion of daggers, so we get 8 fetishes. We summon the army, we get 8 fetishes that are permanent until they die. Now that's great. Run it with Fetish Sycophants build, and what actually happens is that every time you produce a fetish, or I'm sorry, it produces up to 15 fetishes cap. Now I don't know if that fetish cap is meant to be for the fetish army with the passive, so basically meaning you have 8 permanent fetishes out, and then you generate 7 more, and then you're at your cap. Or if Blizzard intended it for us to have 8 perma fetishes out plus 15, and the passive is capped to 15, not actually in combination with the fetish army, but I digress. The biggest problem is this: if you actually use those skills together, what happens is once you produce up to 15 fetishes, 8 being fetish army, 7 being the fetishes from the passive, you have 15 fetishes. 8 fetishes which will be affected by skill increase damage and things of that nature, or whatever elemental damage you choose. And then the 7 additional fetishes would be physical. As soon as you produce past 15, what actually happens is that a fetish is replaced of your original permanent 8. So why is that a bad thing? Well, if your fetishes are running increased fetish army damage and you're using the fetishes from the skill, and let's say your fetishes are doing about 20 million and the passive one's doing, let's say, only 15. Every fetish you generate past 15 replaces your permanent army one. What does that mean, Debo? More in detail, I'm still confused. Okay, basically you have 8 fetishes that are permanent, you produce 7 more, you hit the cap, which is 15. Okay, Debo, I understand that so far. So when you produce, let's say you produce 8 fetishes past 15, you don't get 23 fetishes. What actually ends up happening is that those 8 additional fetishes that you produce that are past 15, so 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, it will replace the original 8 inside of the skill, which makes it so that your fetishes that you actually want to keep out permanently alive, which is the ones from the skill, which are more tankier and do more damage if you have the skill damage increase, die. Or in some cases, depending on which skill you run, the additional special fetishes, like the Tiki Torches one, where it shoots out the Tiki Torches, where it has like the little fetishes that spew out fire, or the Headhunters that shoot out poison, they'll be replaced by the passive ones. Now Blizzard has stated that this is a bug and this is not intended, and that they're going to be fixing it in the next major content update 2.1, which will be ladders. Hopefully they do a little bit sooner, but we pretty much have to wait. They're going to do all the bug fixing for that at that point. So, I mean, we have to kind of wait for that to happen. You really don't want to use both. You want to use one or the other. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're actually going to do, because they never said clearly that we intended for you to have 15 fetish cap on the passive, and then you could have an extra 8 from the army, making 23, or they just said, hey, we only want 15 fetishes out in the field of play, which means you're going to have 8 permanent and 7 passive. Because, you know, the 8's the most you can get from army because of Legion rune. So we have to wait to see what's on that. So either we're going to have 15 fetishes maxed out or 23. And this build with 23 I think would be very good. The fetishes do extra damage, and since we're doing spirit barrages and haunts and crowd controlling everything, extra fetishes means more damage on the field, more monsters for us to tank. So that's just fantastic. Now this guy likes to be pulsating, so I have to watch out to see what he's doing. And sometimes I don't mind kiting and using my range on the elites, because there's really not much they can do. And I'm watching out because he is pulsating, and pulsating is very painful. Alright, but for the most part, you see he can't really come close to me because I have Spirit Barrage, and it's kind of just CCing everything and just keeping everything in place. So, like I said, in the future of this build, I'm definitely going to redo it with Fetish Sycophants, because I'm looking forward to using that in combination with this. Even though the fetishes don't scale off of cold, they're physical. That's okay, because they still hit pretty hard. I mean, they still hit for around about 10 million. I have 8 of them hitting for 10 million. That's really good damage. Now, if I have a total of 23, if everything works out in the right way, all doing 10 million damage, even if it's not cold, it's still good extra damage, and you got fetishes that are tanking damage for you. Because you're going to be casting spells with Spirit Barrage and Haunt anyway. You might as well be able to produce more fetishes if you want. Now, if you want to do it on the flip side and not even like maybe just run Azure Wrath for the CC control, you know, of the freezing effect or something like that, and then run nothing but physical, I think that's perfectly fine too. Or if you like to run Gargantuan physical, or if you like to run Fetish Army, however you want to run this build is kind of up to you. But I prefer just sticking to the whole cold theme and just keeping the cold damage up and just taking the physical damage loss on the fetishes, because they already hit so hard due to Jerome and Task and Theo. So as you see, just everything's pretty laid back. Spirit Barrage, Well of Souls, freezing effect as Azure Wrath, in combination with the Enchantress. We got a lot of good control, and this will actually help out in a lot of groups, because we'll be sitting back from a comfortable position in groups, just casting Spirit Barrage non-stop, freezing all the monsters, chilling them, and you know, helping out our teammates, and also dropping the frozen piranhas, chilling the targets, freezing the targets, and we won't have really much to worry about. But even in solo, as you can see, this power of Spirit Barrage, being able to freeze them, stand far back, we don't really have to worry about too much. Oop, got a little thunderstorm right there, but as you can see, the build handles everything fine. Maybe not as fast as clearing as, let's say, the Jade set, but I just kind of use this like as in terms of the health tooth build, you know, more of like a damage utility spec. You just sit back and you chill. You can crowd control things very easily. You don't have to worry about, you know, things rushing you, because you have so many options to control the monsters. And like I said, one of the coolest things I think is with the Spirit Barrage, with Well of Souls, all the extra additional spirits have a chance to freeze and chill too. So it's really good crowd control. The pieces are not too hard to get. Jerome is a good starting point, and then of course, you know, you want to get Task and Theo, but I mean, if you got a Jerome and a Azure Wrath, you're ready to go. Hell, even if you don't got like the Jerome, you could just start off with Azure Wrath if you get that, or maybe you have a Shard of Hate there, or maybe you can start messing with the Spirit Barrage. Even with Thunder Fury, works out really well. But I really do like the chill effect, and the chill effect can only really be done by Azure or Shard of Hate, because Shard of Hate procs a cold effect that slows, but what actually freezes is the Spirit Barrage, which actually makes things a lot it makes things a lot easier. I was play testing around with this build at Torment level 3. And eventually somebody was like, hey, Debo, just try it on T6. And between the freezing and everything that was going on, we are like, hey, this build actually works out pretty dang well. Let's go ahead and start building towards it and trying to min-max it. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to the future of the build once they fix the Fetish Sycophants build, because then we can have a bunch of fetishes out. As you see, like Sadia, she can't really go anywhere. Spirit Barrage does wonderful damage on elites, and she's pretty much locked down. And that's it. That's all she wrote. How many areas we got left? We got one, and then this will close the video up. So we'll just talk about basically what I've been doing on a side project. I'm actually building a Witch Doctor in the EU community with no help, no money, nothing whatsoever, by myself. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm preparing myself for ladder, just to figure out what's the best entry level builds and what things work really well and what not to spend money on and what to go for first. But I'll tell you one thing, when I was leveling with my Witch Doctor, I noticed that Haunt is phenomenally well in terms of leveling. So, you know, I'm kind of making like a little almanac or a little guide that works as a leveling guide, but mostly just, you know, what to do when ladder comes out, what's the first things we should be going for, what skills at what levels we should be running. Because of course you just want to, a lot of people say, oh, ladder doesn't matter, it doesn't take skill, because, you know, there's nothing to it. You just, whoever plays more gets ahead. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the player who not only plays a lot, but actually makes good use of his time and makes the correct decisions will actually end up pulling ahead and being able to itemize and, you know, increase their chances of getting better gear and running more functional builds to get to T6, because in ladder you want to get to T6, and people say, why in T6? Well, once you get to T6 you can start making a lot of gold for yourself, and once you can start making a lot of gold for yourself, then you're not limited by rerolls, because rerolls do get very expensive. So I think in terms of ladder, getting to T6 is going to be very important, because Paragon levels, money, all that stuff allows you to maximize your items, reroll, and do what you have to do so you can get towards, you know, those in-game builds, so you can climb the ladder and, you know, outrank your buddies and show that you're the best. So I'm just making this Witch Doctor in EU. Needed to make it anyways. Testing out how I want to do from level 170. I had 0 game time, so it's going to be interesting to see how much time I invested to get towards till I get to T6, how fast I can do it. I'm learning a lot already from starting from nothing, just from, you know, what to invest my money in and what not to. So definitely keep up to date with that. I'll probably be making a post on that in the forums about that, and I'll be updating it on a couple days basis just to keep you guys up to date with how the ladder practice character is working. So I'm looking forward to that. And then outside of that, I hope you guys enjoyed the build. Something different, so you can try it. And you know, just basically, you know, it provides utility and it provides a pretty decent DPS. Again, like I said, will it outdo Jade? I don't think so. Will it outdo Jerome build? I don't think so. Is it a different build that actually provides good damage and has purpose? Yes, I think it does provide good damage. Does it provide utility? Of course, you saw the utility. It was freezing everything, and Spirit Barrage is a wonderful spell. So I know a lot of people out there just get focused in between the two big builds all the time, and people say basically, why would I go this build when I can do this? Well, like, I'm just trying to tell people in general, we want to have different builds so we can showcase different things. And then also think of it this way: when you're playing ladder, you may not get a Jade set. Realistically, a Jade set takes 5 pieces. You need the gloves, you need the helm. I'm sorry, no, you need the gloves, you need the shoulder, you need the boots, you need the pants, you need the chest. So that's 5 pieces. You can't use the helm. And you need Quetzalcoatl, and you need Royal Ringer Grandeur. So yes, eventually you'll be able to get that on the ladder within the seasons if you're committed. However, what if you get into your wrath, and what if you get you're sitting there like, well, how can I maximize the damage and get the most out of this? It's important to have a different variety of builds, especially when the ladder seasons are coming out, just because when you get a combination of gear, you might think like, well, okay, I got 3 pieces of Hell Tooth and some Zuni, what should I do? Oh, I can run this build works very well. You know, it's just having a multiple different things with builds and different items and using different combinations and stuff does not only spread the versatility of the Witch Doctor and the knowledge that the class can do so many different things, but when you get into a situation with resetting ladders and seasons, if you get certain sets of gear, because it's all RNG for the most part, then you know that, oh, I got this kind of combination of gear, well, there's a build for it. Well, I got this combination of gear, there's a build for it. So It's not to try to make us claim to fame that this is the best build in the world, I reiterate. It's just to simply just show, hey, here's a different build. This is something that you might like in case you want to do something different. And then there might be some people out there who have like a lot of cold damage, but they just, maybe they're building towards the Jade set. They got tons of cold damage and cold damage items, but they don't have the final pieces. Well, hey, they can run this build until they get the final pieces. You technically don't even have to run Jerome. You can run Quetzalcoatl with that, you know, and do well. Oh, actually, now that I go back with it, you also do need the Quetzalcoatl helm with the drum with the Jade set. So that's about 7 pieces. So realistically, you know, try the build out. We're gonna have to wait till Fetish Sycophants comes out, and we're actually gonna have to just keep looking at the build and figure out what things we can make better. Or maybe Gargantuan damage is not the best. Maybe the Fetish damage is the best, or maybe it is better to run physical and just use the Azure just for freezing purposes. But anyways, before I start rambling, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be releasing more in-game guides next week. Or I might actually do one midweek. We'll see, because I said I was going to do 2 today, but I'm just doing one now. I kind of want to go run off and play my EU Witch Doctor, because that's actually proven to be really fun, leveling it back up with no help and no nothing. So, as always, I appreciate you guys watching my videos on YouTube. I'm Debo, and I am out.